Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Scio Township Board of Trustees meeting. Let's call this meeting to order at exactly 5 p.m. Clerk Flintoff, please call the roll.
Carey?
Here.
Yapel? Absent. Flintoft? Here. Brandt? Here. Knoll? Here. Reed? Here. Reiser?
Here.
Also present, Office Coordinator Christy Aiken, Patsy Moore, and Aurora Northrup.
Okay. So adoption of the agenda, we have the public notice. So what we have in our rules of order, call to order, roll call, pledge of allegiance, adoption of the agenda, public comment. Well, I guess new business, public comment and adjournment. Is there anything to change about this special meeting agenda?
I support the agenda as described.
I would second the moving of the agenda without amendment.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is adopted. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Okay, now is the time for public comment. This is the time for members of the public to speak up to 5 minutes on any matter under the purview of the Board of Trustees. Anyone present would like to speak? No? Christy, anyone online?
We have online participants, but there are no hands raised.
All right, let's move on. Aurora, would you like, our human resource manager, would you like to?
Yes, so this special meeting is for the final candidate for the operations director role. And Mr. Nathaniel Clark is here tonight, and we will, after the interview, what we will do is just review the rest of the information, and I'll turn it over to Patsy now to kind of go through that a little bit.
Okay. So once we've concluded today, we will share next steps with you. That's compiling additional information that you have asked for. We will be preparing that. I will get it back to Aurora, and she will get back with you all. So that is how we will proceed after today.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Clark, would you like to come forward?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So Mr. Clark, first we'll introduce ourselves. I know that you had informally had come up and introduced yourself, but just for the sake of the public here. So I'm Jillian Carey, I'm the supervisor.
Jessica Flintoft, I'm the clerk.
Treasurer Yapel is not here tonight, so. Start down here, or-
Kathy Knoll, a trustee.
David Reed, trustee.
Hi, Christy Aiken, office coordinator. Nice to meet you.
Kathleen Brandt, trustee.
My name is John Reiser, trustee. Hello.
Hi. So we will begin with some questions for you, and the first question is from me, and this is regarding working with an election or elected board. This position reports directly to the Board of Trustees. How do you approach maintaining a productive relationship with elected officials while ensuring the organization operates effectively day to day? Sure.
Supervisor Carey, that's a good question. And as your operations director of operations, you know, my job is to ensure there are no surprises. Anything that is significant, it's my responsibility to report it to you. You should never turn your television on, Fox 5 or any other channel, and find out something significant has happened in this township, and I haven't brought it to your attention. That's my responsibility, no surprises. I also have to make sure that I keep you informed of everything that goes on that can have a negative impact on the township. How do I regularly communicate with you? I communicate with each of you by real-time updates, by regular briefings, and in doing so, I have to make sure they're clear and concise. And when you ask for something, make sure you get it promptly and it's completed staff work. And you notice I said completed staff work. When I give you a work product, it should be complete. All things you have to do is read it, that's it. Make an informed decision. There shouldn't be no mistakes, no clerical errors, no sending back to me with like they did back in junior high school with red ink all over it. I should get you completed staff work. It's my job to ensure that you have all the necessary information you need to make informed decisions. It is also my job to build trust with you. How do I build trust with you? By being transparent, by being prompt. And so you'll be able to say, you know, if the operation director tells something, we can believe in him. And I know that's going to take some time, but I do it by what I call making deposits in your bank. Not only your bank, but the community's bank, because guess what? I got to build trust with the community also. And how do I make those deposits? I make those deposits by being visible, by being approachable, by listening, by making informed decisions based on data and based on factual information, and based on keeping you and the public informed. That's how I will communicate with you. That's how I will ensure that you are maintain abreast of everything that goes on in the township. And I hope to answer your question, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And I also want to say, if I start talking too fast, you know how we do in the Baptist church, just kind of rush your finger up a little bit? I know to slow it down.
Next is Clerk Flintoft. Excuse me.
Great. Thank you for being here. This question's about managing diverse municipal functions. So part of the job of the operations director is overseeing a wide range of functions, including utilities, parks, contracts, IT, code enforcement, and project management. How do you lead effectively across areas where you may not be the technical expert?
Well, another great question. And I'll fall back on my role. You see, I've been in the supervisor role now for approximately 30 plus years. You know, if I think about, I've been in the public sector for over 36 plus years. And then at least 16 of those years has been in senior executive roles, whether it was chief of police, assistant chief, public safety director, deputy city manager, or interim city manager. And so I've worked with a wide array of individuals, such as HR director, like you say, human resources, code enforcement, park enforcement. But the key to supervising department heads is making sure we're all on the same page and that we are all ensuring that everything we do in good faith reflects your expectations of us. How do I do that from what I call an operations director role? I do it by ensuring we're having clear expectations, that our policies and procedures complement best practices. They complement industry standards. And I know we're not CALEA accredited, but if we was CALEA accredited, make sure they complement CALEA standards. That's first and foremost. And then I make sure that the employees clearly understand how their role fits into the overall mission to make sure your policies, your mandates are executed. We all have to be on the same page to make sure the policymakers, which are you, that everything we do in good faith reflects your expectations and the expectations of the community. And then I go one step further. You know, I direct through engagement, not to micromanage, but I have to have consistent communications with them, with the employees. I ensure that the employees receive enhanced training. We have enhanced tools. We have modern equipment. And then I hold the employees accountable. When I say I hold them accountable, I hold myself accountable. And I ensure that I hold myself to the highest ethical standards, and the employees will be held to the highest ethical standards to ensure that your vision is executed and that the expectation of the people that we serve, our most important assets, our citizens and our stakeholders' expectations are adhered to. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Trustee Brandt, you're number 4, but our Treasurer Yeaple isn't here. Would you mind reading? Sure. Number 4, please. Or number 3.
Mr. Clerk. Okay, this question has to do with communications during difficult situations. So this says, describe a time when you had to communicate challenging or unpopular information to leadership, staff, or the public. How did you handle it?
I can think of several, because like I say, I've been in the public sector for like I said, over 36 plus years. But I think one that really stands out, anytime we take a life, that's critical. And as a department head, it was my responsibility as a department head to ensure that my employees' well safety, to ensure that the community was informed, and to ensure that I stood out front and took ownership. That's my role. I'm the face of the city, the face of the organization. I had to stand out front. We had a shooting where we took a life. We were justified in doing so because in order to stop the threat, we was also saving a life. And it was my job to come in to ensure that the scene was secure, to come in and ensure that the prosecutor was notified, to ensure the safety of the employees involved, and to go out and make contact with the victim/suspect's family. Because he was the victim, he was also the suspect. And we had to stop the threat. But what I did early on, and I've done this throughout my public service career, I created what I call internal and external diverse advisory boards. Internal with the employees in-house. External diverse advisory boards with the community. And we bring them in, and guess what? We bring them to the decision-making table. We bring them to the decision-making table to ensure they have a voice, to ensure that they are respected, and to ensure that they feel valued in the direction or operations of the agency. That's called making deposits in the community's bank. Think about it. That's just one of the ways I've made deposits in the community's bank. But let me tell you some other ways I've made deposits in the community's bank. By going to schools, churches, civic organizations, by holding town hall meetings, by treating people fair, by ensuring that our policies and procedures complement best practices and industry standards, making deposits in the community's bank. And I always tell people, no matter where I'm at, when I make a deposit in your bank, the only thing I ask when I go to make a withdrawal is that you withhold your judgment until all the facts have been laid on the table. That's the only thing I ask. Just withhold your facts. But it starts off by building what? Building trust. And you build trust through transparency. And that's just one incident, ma'am, that really stands out.
Thank you. Okay, I get to go again.
I'm ready.
Okay, this is in regards to creating a transparent culture. In what way would you ensure fiscally and ethically responsible actions and cultivate a culture of accountability to both township elected officials and residents?
I want to make sure I got that right. So we're really talking about fiscal responsibility, am I correct?
In what way would you ensure fiscally
Okay.
and ethically responsible actions to
Let-
cultivate a culture of accountability?
Let me tell you a little bit of my history, and then I'm going to answer your question if you don't mind. I believe strongly in, as the operations director, I have to be fiscally sound with taxpayers' funds. A good stewardess. Think about it for one moment. If in my own personal life, in my own house, if I have $10 in my pocket, I can't go to the grocery store and spend 20 because I only have 10. If I go into the grocery store and with $10 in my pocket, come out with $20 food, something is not right. So when I'm doing taxpayers' money, ethics is of the most crucial importance. I talked about holding myself and others to the highest ethical standards. I believe in that, to the highest ethical standard, especially when we start talking about taxpayers' money. Well, let me give you a little bit about my expertise as far as budget preparation, and oversight. You know, I have been involved in budget preparation and oversight from budgets stemming from $12 million to $33+ million. So I understand the importance of a good and sound budget, multi-million-dollar budget. You see, I align budget with strategic goals and operations. When the governing body presents me a budget and or their wish list, it's my job as operations director to execute that wish list. That's part of my job, and we do it in good faith. I'm going to be counting on the expertise of those that work alongside me, again, to hold themselves to the highest ethical standards. You know, I have training and experience as far as when it comes to improving planning and infrastructure. I'll give you a prime example. In Fort Smith, Arkansas, the second largest city in the state at the time, you know, I was successful at developing and obtaining approval of a strategic action plan where I brought to the department $1.3 million a year for 7 years. That $1.3 million for 7 years was used for enhanced training, enhanced technology, modernized equipment, to establish a second precinct, and to enhance a state-approved training academy. But I haven't stopped there. In Forest Park, Georgia, I was instrumental in ensuring that we constructed a state-of-the-art public safety facility. But think about it. I didn't just do this by myself. I did it with the help of others. Everybody wants to feel involved. You know, as I talked about those external advisory boards, those internal advisory boards, bringing people to the decision-making table. Because if you don't do that, and I can tell you the story, you'll get pushback. Because people want to feel heard. Especially the community, they want to feel heard. They want to feel like they're respected. And they want to feel like their voice has value. And it's incumbent upon me as your operations director to do more than work from 9 to 5. Because guess what? This community thrives 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I owe it to the taxpayers to be visible. I have to go to events and be visible. I have to be approachable. I have to go to the churches. Because guess what? I'm operations director to the entire township, not just one segment, but the entire township. And I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Trustee Noel?
What role have you played in developing and managing organizational budgets? And how do you ensure financial discipline across departments?
Okay, I know part of my answer is probably going to be answered from the previous question.
Yeah.
As far as budgets. Now, I talked to you earlier about the $12 million over $33+ million budget preparation and oversight. And we look at priorities. Even when what I do is, as a department head, I'll give you for example, and or in the role of interim city manager, I brought my department heads in. Give me your wish list. And you got to justify why you need that. You just can't come in and say, well, I need $30,000 worth of equipment. I need a justification. And then we're going to prioritize that equipment. And then I'm also looking at projected income, you know, what we spent out, what we have in reserve, all of that has to be taken into consideration. There we had a city council. I had to look at the city council expectations, their wish list. And then we had community forums. What is the community's expectation? What is their wish list? All of that be factored in before I can generate a budget. You know, it's a lot goes into a budget that oftentimes, you public see it when it's a finished product, but it's a lot that go into a budget. We hold meetings, we hold retreats. All of that has to be factored in when it comes to a budget. Again, that's being fiscally sound when it comes to taxpayer dollars. I want to make sure every dollar we spend of taxpayer money, there's what I call a measurable outcome in the real side of it.
Thank you. Trustee Reed?
That'll type very fast.
Oh, okay.
All right, hold on.
You'll be right.
Okay.
Yep, I will.
I can think as long as y'all want me to say.
Okay, my question, all right, this is regarding enterprise resource planning, managing information and resources. The Board of Trustees is committed to streamlining township functions to improve areas such as accuracy, efficiency, and reporting. Describe your experience integrating and managing a contract or project of this nature.
You know, when you start talking about enterprise resource planning, and I did some research on that, so I'm familiar with that. You know, back where I come from, in the state of Georgia, we had OpenGov, which was public access to our expenditures. Then we had ENCO, which was in-house. And I'm familiar now with your ERP system. That's integrating of, we say, your finance department, your procurement, and your budgeting, all under one umbrella, which is, I think, is an excellent idea. Because this allows for what I call data-driven decision making. It allows you to make better decisions when you see this. It improves transparency. It improves efficiency. You know, and sir, I am adept at systems that's for like your BSA, your business system and application, which is the sister to this your ERP. So those are just some of the things that I'm familiar with when it comes to budgeting and planning resources. We had some systems that are similar to yours, but I'm good at as far as learning your entire process. I hope to answer your question, sir.
Thank you.
Trustee Reiser.
Okay, hello again. This is about purchasing and risk management. So the role serves as the township's purchasing agent and it oversees our risk management. What principles guide your approach to procurement and contracting and organizational risk or risk management? So that's procurement, contracting, and risk management, organizational risk.
That's okay. I'm gonna start with procurement first, if you don't mind, sir.
No, not at all.
You know, serving in the role of deputy city manager and the role of interim city manager, I'm familiar with competitive bidding and contract oversight. You know, and I believe in compliance. I am compliance driven. So we're gonna have policies and procedures in place, and I keep saying this because I'm a strong believer of it. Our policies and procedures has to complement best practices, has to complement industry standards. If we ensure compliance with our policy and procedures, we should be okay. When we deviate from policy and procedures, that's where we find ourselves getting ourselves in trouble. You know, sir, I value accountability. I value transparency. And I'm just going to be totally honest with you. My firm belief is that procurement protects public services. It's extremely important. We start talking about risk management. I believe in being proactive versus being reactive. And I'm going to say that again. Proactive versus being reactive, because reactive oftentimes is too late. So when we start talking about risk management, let's think about what is risk management. You know, it's a proactive process of identifying risks early on and assessing their potential impact on the city, on our operations, on our performance. So we have to be proactive to make sure we have policies and procedures in place to overcome what I call the reactive side of it. And I firmly believe in that. So I believe in not only being proactive, I believe in firm communications. Because think about this for one moment. We can be proactive or we can be reactive, but if we don't communicate with our most important assets, the community, guess what? They paint this picture of us, we're not doing anything. So we always have to, me as your operations director, has to step up front, take ownership, and make sure that anything we do in good faith that I share with the community. I want to be proactive with the community. Again, we are building relationships. I'm making deposits in the community's bank. And then I want to maintain an open readiness. We are ready for anything in the township of Sohai, especially when it comes to risk management, because we are proactive.
And the third part of that one was contracting, if you have anything to say about contracting.
Well, I'm familiar with contract because as the interim city manager, we had a procurement officer. And then he did basically our scope of work based on our expenditures, and then he would bring it back to me, and we would sit down with the city attorney, with my procurement officer, and then the contract, we would either sign off on it or not. So I'm familiar with contracting.
Yeah, I'm with you.
This question is about leadership style. How would you describe your leadership style, and how do you build trust, accountability, and performance management within an organization?
Trust and accountability. Okay. You know, Madam Supervisor, that's a good question. And I can sum it up, and I'm gonna go into it, but I can sum it up in 3 words. Accountability plus collaboration equals measurable results. I'm gonna say that again. Accountability plus collaboration equals measurable results. As your operations director, I'm sorry. It's my job to ensure that I set clear expectations that everybody can follow. I ensure that we have measurable performance initiatives in place. And then I empower staff not to think outside the box, but we often hear that cliche, think outside the box. I empower staff to think there is no box when it comes to enhanced service delivery. I empower staff. I ensure my staff is properly trained, they have the equipment they need, and technology they need in order to provide a level of services to the town of Scio that's second to none, in, not only in this state, but in this nation. And then I have to be a good consensus builder. Because think about it, I'm going to be working with people with different ideals, different backgrounds, but at the end of the day, we're going to pull all that, what I call that, tap into that knowledge, and we're going to do what's in the best interest of the township. And in doing so, make sure we're executing your vision. That's part of my job, part of my role. You know, I'm going to hold myself, and I talked about this earlier, hold myself to the highest ethical standard because I believe in it. And I'm going to hold those around me to the highest ethical standards. It's non-negotiable. I'm going to empower my staff to think forward. I'm going to align my words with my actions. And in doing so, I'm also going to keep the governing body, which is you, the trustees, supervisor, abreast of any and all significant activities. You know, I stated earlier on, you should never be surprised. That's a pledge you're going to get from me tonight. If I'm the candidate, you're never going to be surprised. You might say I give you too much information, but you're not going to be surprised. I'm going to keep you surprised with significant activities.
Thank you. Clerk Flintoff.
So this question gets to effective management of change or crisis. Could you please share an experience when you led through a significant change or a crisis?
Now, we talked earlier about the shooting. Let's talk a little bit about, I can remember, and I hope y'all don't hold this against me, but I got to share it. During the course of my career, coming up through the ranks, we had a gang problem in the city. I was charged with coming up with a proactive plan to address that problem. And because I had been to some training, I went solo. I started talking about the equipment we need, who's going to be on the gang unit, how much money we needed. But guess what? Who I left out? I left out the boots on the ground, the internal employees that's going to be impacted. But most importantly, I excluded the community. The most important asset, I excluded them. That was a learning experience for me. And I often share that because it's important to me. Early on, you, especially me in this role as operations director, I have to bring the decision makers, not necessarily the governing body, which will be yourself, but I have to bring, I talked to you about that diverse advisory board. I have to bring them to the decision-making table. They are our ambassadors. They are our most important asset because without them, there will be no need for us. Bring them to the decision-making table. Let them have a voice in the direction we take this township. But I can't stop there. Those that's going to be impacted, the employees, has to have a voice at the decision-making table. You'll be surprised that when you give people a voice, make them feel valued, they'll give you 110%. Because you showed them, I respect you, I respect your ideals. I want you to have a voice. We go at this together. It's not about Clark. It's about providing a level of services that's second to none. I keep saying not only in this great state of Michigan, but throughout the United States. We are second to none, and there's no doubt in my mind that if I am selected for this position, we're going to take the township of Scio to the next level, to the next chapter. We're going to be a world-class township, working with the community, working with internal employees, and most importantly, working with you, the governing body. And I tell people all the time, you know, I'm also a Baptist minister. Some might call me crazy, but I'm just crazy enough to believe that we're going to the next chapter together. I hope to answer your question.
Thank you. The last question is from Treasurer Gable, so I will just take this. It's a closing question. Excuse me. What attracted you to the operations director role in Scio Township, and why do you believe you are the right fit for the organization at this point in your career?
An excellent question. Excellent question. But you know, I think about when I first viewed your marketing advertisement, or I call it advertisement, I call it marketing. And there's no doubt in my mind you're looking for an operation director that's visible, that's approachable, that's honest, that lead by example, and that's willing to do more than just a 9 to 5, that goes to the churches and civic organizations and keep you abreast, ensure that you have completed staff work, and when the community has a problem, make sure we address that problem in a prompt and thorough manner. I know then you was talking about me, because that aligns with my values. You know, when I look at Scio Township, you represent a well-managed community, and a fluid community, and a forward-thinking community. That says a lot about this community, because I did a lot of homework. It says a lot about this community. And so there's no doubt in my mind you're seeking a leader that can help you take this department to the next level. Somebody who can execute your vision. Somebody who can keep you out of trouble. And somebody who's going to always be transparent with you. Even though it might not be something you want to hear, I'm going to be transparent. So I'm particularly drawn to this community because of its effectiveness, its leanness. Because I even looked at your budget, your staffing. You're lean, but you do more with less. Because I've been in some organizations that had a whole lot more, but they wasn't accomplishing some of the things you're accomplishing here. So I understand that. So I consider it would be a blessing for me, it would be an honor for me to serve as your operations director and to ensure that I execute in good faith your vision and to ensure I execute in good faith the community's expectations, and last but certainly not least, that I execute in good faith the employees' expectations. Because guess what? I work with the employees. Now I realize at the end of the day, I will be the operations manager. I understand that. But I also understand that I have to work side by side with the employees to gain their trust, to gain their respect, so we can take this city to the next level. And I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. Well, these excellent questions came from Aurora and Patsy, so we can't take credit for them, but we asked them very well.
Okay.
And thank you for your answers. So do you have questions for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
You know, I tell you, I'm a Baptist preacher. You know, I'm going to bring some questions from the pulpit. Yeah, but I do. I have 3 questions. And first and foremost, ma'am, I want to just thank you and the body for this discussion. But based on the discussion, I do have a couple of questions. My first question is that, you know, what are, the board's top 3 priorities for the operation director that you want to accomplish in the first 6 to 12 months? What are your priorities? Top 3.
You might get 7 different answers.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how you want to do that, Supervisor.
Getting this down.
Your top 3
so what-
priorities for the 6 months, right?
What are the top 3 goals or priorities for the operations director to accomplish in the first 6 months? Is that
Or if I might get them in a different answer, I can go top 2 if you want me to.
Okay.
Or
Well,
top 1. I merge them.
Okay. Should we start with Trustee Reed, if you have thoughts on this?
Too many. Let me think. I think the most important, a very important thing to do, not maybe the most, but a very important thing to do is to build a relationship with not only the board, but with the employees. Certainly with residents, but I think in this building, I think the most important thing to do is to reach out and build a level of trust with these 8 people, excuse me, and as well as the 30-plus people in this building.
Well, interestingly enough, I have a very similar priority. So I would like to see you form relationships with staff and elected officials and be able to foster and cultivate a meaningful atmosphere here which would enable people to do their best work.
Oh, yes, please.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Yeah, I think this position, a couple things, is that the main job of this position is to manage the staff that report to you. It's not to staff this board. And so it's again, I would estimate 80% of the job is the operations and 20% of it is kind of, facing the community or helping the board. Also working in conjunction with the other staff that report to the board, the fire chief, finance director. In terms of, one of the I'll also say challenges on this point is, Scio grew so fast externally as a community, as you've probably seen through your research. Internally, we're still catching up. It was not so many years ago that we hadn't hired anybody in 7 years, much less recruited broadly. So we've had HR for only 2 years, updated job descriptions, org chart, just starting performance reviews for the first time. So we're going through a lot of cultural change and bringing in a lot of people with specialized professional expertise. So I'd be really interested in getting an assessment to support the performance evaluation and identify kind of the training needs. Because right now we have, that's very new for the organization. The second thing I'd say is to really get contracts in place, procurement and contracts, particularly for our major contractors. We are lean, as you saw through our budget, few FTE, because we rely a lot on contractors. And then the third would be to finally implement an escrow process, because we've been bleeding general fund money with the way that we do fees for our developers. And I think the favorite thing that you said was completed staff work.
I believe in that.
Yeah, because this job really is about work, and that completed staff work and good information is really spot on. So thank you.
Yes, and I agree with everything that's been said so far. And I love that you've talked about staff and the training of staff. Our staff is very good, and we are all trying to work together with our new growth or larger growth, but there's still things that we need to catch up on, and I'm a big, firm believer in always learning. If you're not learning, you're not growing. And to, also what Trustee Reed and Noel had said about building relationships with staff and board members, fostering and cultivating a meaningful atmosphere. We really need to all work together and for the community. That's really why government is here. Yeah. Thank you.
My three are the staff. Get to know the staff and what they do. Lead and develop our managers. Bring them along in their career and make them better managers of the staff. And then get familiar with the boards that we have. The Planning Commission, I'm not saying go to all that stuff, but What does the planning commission do? How does that fit in our staff? What does the land preservation committee do, and how do they interact with staff and the board? What does the parks and planning do? What does our road commission do? There are others. So how do the boards gel with staff and this board and the community? So that'd be that number one, get to know the organization. My second one would be familiarity with the finances. Our budget, which is the capital plan, what do we think we want to spend money on and when and why? So the budget and our audits, are we doing things right and how can we improve it? And the third one is to navigate the occasional tensions that happen between the seven of us, and to don't get caught up in that. We sometimes have tensions on this board. If you do your homework, you can read about that. And we could all do better. And so having somebody who can kind of come in and recognize and deal with some factions might be too strong of a word, but individual characteristics. So how can you be the glue that we adhere to that helps us do better for residents? That would be my three things.
Thank you.
Steve Brand?
Sure, so some of my priorities are to let's modernize our operations and establish a more professional staffing organization, applying good practices. It was mentioned that we do quite a bit of outsourcing. I think a priority, it's always been my priority, is to look for ways to bring services in-house and have professional staff for that. I personally think in-house professional staffing operates in the best interests of the township versus a private company that operates in their best interests. So modernize how we do things, push forth good practices of that modernization, and look to hire additional professional staff to save money away from contractors.
And my last question is, how would you describe the ideal working relationship between the operations director and you? How would you describe a good working relationship? So I was, even before I got here, I was listening when you started talking about something that's some tension. So how would you describe a good working relationship if I was your operations director and you?
Steve Brand, would you like to begin?
I haven't even finished writing down the question. I can start, I don't mind.
Okay.
I just, as you did, sir, I just want to get the question right.
Okay.
So what I would like to see, and what I've experienced, is an open, trusting, and respectful approach. We all have our own expertise. We are looking for an operations director that has a broad enough skill set to manage all the aspects that we've mentioned. But each of us brings our own knowledge and experience. So my good working relationship is that we each listen to each other, we share our own experience, and we try to get to the best solutions.
Steve Reiser?
To ideal working relationship between the board and the OD, is that correct? That was the question?
Correct.
Yeah, and the board as a 7-member unit, or the board as 7 individual people with different personalities, different interests. Some are here all day, some are seldom here, me. So I would think you'd have to establish relationships with all 7, learn to know, I guess, some are gonna call you more, I'll never call you probably, or seldom call you probably. There's different personalities and different things, so I guess, but hear what the all 7 have to say, but you work for the board as a whole, the township as a whole, rather than the board member. Be careful, I would say be vigilant about always doing the bidding, or being guarded about doing the bidding of those who bend your ear the most. Just realize that you're here for all of us. Or same, and if I say I need this, I need this, I need this, say, wait a minute, slow down, Riser, that's, or thank you, okay, I'll get back with you. I mean, but so that would be, deal with us individually, fairly, on behalf of the whole board as an entity. But I could be wrong on that.
No, never.
Okay, yeah. Well, I would like to see from an operations director and the 7 of us that our operations director has an individual relationship with each person. And as the previous 2 trustees had said, we're all different. But you, or the operations director, reports to the whole board. So it's all 7 of us individually, but with also the whole board, reporting to the whole board. And I would also like to see regular reports so that we're all apprised of the most important things that are going on. If there's, issues with staff, or if there's, and not just issues, but, the good things that are happening, projects that are moving forward, just different things like that, so that we're all on the same page instead of, oh, I heard this from one trustee, but we didn't hear it, or another trustee didn't hear that. And I really liked, in the past, we had a manager that, a couple of them, that would give us weekly reports at the end of the week or the beginning of the following week, so we knew what was happening. Clerk Flintoff, are you ready?
Sure. Yeah, I want to echo something John said about, just, and certainly this isn't, I'm sure you've dealt with this before, of trying to have one of 7 just kind of advocate for their position. Sometimes here it's advocating for a subordinate staff person's position to you, kind of going around. And so obviously you don't want to fall into that. 1, because it's, dysfunctional, but 2, because it's becomes a poor use of your time. And I've seen that before with other people who are in a similar position to yours. So, I, for one, always want to hear your best, professional opinion, whatever your position is, even if 1 to 7 of us disagree with it. I always want to know what your honest, professional opinion is. Secondly, I'd say in a township, your relationships are the same with the 7 of us as board members in terms of, being the governing body and policymakers. And then there's 3 of us who, there's some collaboration day to day. So as supervisor, Jillian's responsible for assessing. As treasurer, Ryan's responsible for the cash. And as clerk, I'm responsible for finances and records. So we work collaboratively kind of in the operations. From a policy point of view, we're just one of 7 votes, but we're also just around day to day operating the organization. So sometimes I think that we can get to know each other faster than the other 4, though I will say of these 4, they're also extremely involved. We have a lot of committees, as John mentioned, more committees than you might typically see. And historically, because we had such small staff, we had highly empowered committees who were maybe making, funding and policy decisions. So we have tried to get that more organized through the board, and I think have done a good job of that, but those are also important relationships.
Okay, I'm going to echo some of the comments that have already been stated. I would like to see good communication with board members. This would involve open, honest relationships with each and taking into consideration individual differences. So each one ideally would have a different relationship with each board member, but there would be parallels between them. And even though the 4 trustees aren't here as much, some of us bring a lot of experience, and I think that it would be very important to pay attention to what the 4 trustees do say.
If I can quote you, that's a good question. Reviewing a quick review of your resume again shows me you have about approximately 30 years of police experience, in law enforcement experience. So I would ask, or I would hope that you would come to this position with, well, I guess describe in general, an open door. And that means not only an open door, but an open mind to things that you may not be familiar with, such as how to build a path or how to reforest a preserve. New ideas, be open to new ideas, new ways of doing things. Be open to constructive criticism, that is, suggestions on how to do things. And of course, really open communication between you and the board and you and the management staff of the township. So I guess in general, I guess that's how I would describe an open door. So I think that's it.
Ma'am, that's all I have.
Wonderful, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
May I ask a location question? I noticed all of your experiences in the South, Georgia, and Arkansas. Are you currently located in Michigan or looking to move here?
Yes, I'm located in Michigan.
Yeah. The great state of Michigan.
In Redford.
That would be a long commute. You know, you're out of state.
I'll be looking for something closer to township, I can guarantee you that.
If there isn't anything else, then.
No, at this point, you've heard from your applicants, feedback from your last meeting. You've asked for some additional information, so I will be gathering that as well as a proposal for the next step. I will present that to Aurora early next week, and she will get with you all, and then we can, you can decide if you want to move, how you want to move with the next steps.
Additional information from whom, ma'am?
From the candidates.
All three?
At this time, yes.
Because I'm not interested in information from all three, but only two, but that's just me.
No, I understand.
So we have our questionnaires, we could write at the top what, similar to what you just said. So the ones that we would want the extra
To
information.
move forward.
Yeah. I'm interested in two.
Okay.
More information from two, but
Yeah.
not one.
Yes.
But
Okay.
I might not be,
That's
I might be an outlier on that.
It's a, process. So, thank you so much. It was really nice to meet you.
And if I could, I'd like to pass out a little pamphlet that I made up for you all.
Sure.
And this is a strategic action plan, day 1 through 30, 30 through 60, 60 through 90, and then thereafter.
I like that.
That's what I would be bringing to the table.
For us?
Yes,
Yes. Nice.
just based on the research of the township.
Completed work product.
Wow.
Completed work product, there you go.
Completed my heart, like
There you
spell
go.
out. Nothing like a completed work product in my mind.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Again, thank each of you for your.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Either way, would you park closer to this one? Okay.
So the additional information was you requested writing samples as well as additional information on the references that were presented to us. So that information.
Yeah, speaking for myself, I'm interested in that for only 2 of the 3, because I don't want you to spend time and put up hopes up for someone whom I'm not interested in hiring, or having you waste time and money on further investigating, but that might just be me.
No, how about this, at the top of your questionnaire, write if you're interested or not, and then without saying it out loud.
I don't know that we have that option.
I don't know that that's an option, Jillian, that's not
Under-
confidential.
Is it?
Jillian, that is not private information.
No, it's going to Aurora for her to keep. She wanted them the other day.
No, I think we have to do our deliberations in public.
Agreed. It's not in writing.
So I,
Would be,
Okay, never mind.
So Jess, could I ask if you consider this a good example of writing, or would you like another one?
I haven't read it yet.
No, I understand.
I would like a, I would like a example of a work product. Sure. Yeah.
for all or just 2?
My question, I feel you, John, but my question to Patsy and Aurora is, how would you, would it be appropriate for us to deliberate on narrowing it down from 3 to fewer at this point?
Yes,
Okay,
it would be appropriate if that's
Okay.
what you chose to do.
okay, thank you. I would be interested in learning more about Nathaniel Clark as well as our first candidate.
Christy Laszlo?
Yes.
And John Reiser would as well, and John Reiser is not interested in hearing more background information on Burton Packer.
Yes.
And I don't know how the other 5 feel.
The 2 that were Christina and Daniel.
I'm not sure the rules on this, so supervisor or the clerk wouldn't,
Typically, there is a vote from the governing body that we would like to move forward with these candidates.
Yeah.
I would
accept.
That way, it would be on record and we would move forward with those.
I'm comfortable making such a motion at this juncture, if allowed by the supervisor.
Sure, why don't we begin with our first candidate, and we'll do a vote on that person, and go to the next? Would that be?
I would wonder if we might be able to just do one motion to move forward. It sounds like 2,
Yeah, I would,
to not have an individual evaluation on each at this point.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to have an individual evaluation on each right now,
Yeah.
but just which ones we want to move forward.
I would move
What's the difference?
that the Scio Township Board of Trustee direct our Aurora Northup, our, help me on that, I don't want to.
HR manager.
HR manager and our contractor from MML Patsy to move forward and further, I say vet and get writing samples from Christina Laszlo and Nathaniel Clark.
Support.
Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Friendly amendment, John, to also vet references provided.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. It's friendly?
Carrie,
Yes.
Flintoff, yes. Grant,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Riser.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Okay,
That sounds good.
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for all of your work. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can I ask you a question? We're going to adjourn shortly, I assume. And then when do we take this up? In another special meeting or at one of our regular meetings? Is there a recommendation in that regard? I know it's going to take some time to do the next steps.
I will have a proposal to move forward in further evaluating your 2 finalists. And at that time, and I'll share that with Aurora by Monday, and a timeline. And then you will, at some point, you will need to have your final consideration of those.
Deliberate, our public deliberation?
Yes.
Okay, and that, will that be next Tuesday? I wouldn't think so.
No.
No, I don't.
It'll be,
Ready
it'll be a
by
while.
next
Okay, thank you, ladies.
Okay.
Are we going to have them come back again for meetings here at the township
That's going to be a
hall?
part of my proposal for
Okay.
how you would further evaluate them. And then you can discuss that proposal. If you want to change it, tweak it, you certainly may. But I will have a, propose a method of moving forward. And you can add to that method. And at the end of the day, you will agree on how you want to move forward with bringing them back and what that would look like.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
You know, other than speaking for myself, I think we had adequate time and wouldn't need them to come back unless the majority of this board wants them to, wants one or the other two.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, I guess we're on to public comment. So this is the time for the members of the public to speak up to 5 minutes on any purview under the Board of Trustees. And we begin with anyone present? Would you like to speak?
I just have a question. Is there a reason why resumes are not attached to the agenda?
No, I don't know.
I know we didn't the other.
I don't create the agenda, so.
The other day, but I can provide one. I have a hard copy if you'd like to see it.
That would be helpful for the public. You know,
Yeah.
we know nothing about this guy, and you guys have a lot more information, which is fine, I understand that. But a resume in front would have been nice for the people who, all the people who are online to hear as well.
Well, and what we could also do is the next, when it's,
To include them at the next packet when their next, when
Yeah.
their next comes up.
well, and you know what, we'll have Aurora and Patsy review because there is some, but it's, anyways, because it's, I think it's past that at the time. That's when he was.
Or we could also, sometimes when we amend the packet, we add things to the packet.
Yeah, I would defer to Patsy and Aurora.
Yeah.
I know sometimes candidates apply with confidentiality requested, which is allowed under the law up until the point of a public interview. But in terms of like where that line is about, I would defer to you two about
Yes.
when things are published. Because I think it's common practice for those who've requested confidentiality to not publish it. But maybe we're past that point. I just don't know, Caroline.
You are free to release the resumes at this point, once they have it.
And is it typical for a jurisdiction to publish resumes of candidates not yet given a conditional offer who have requested confidentiality?
I'm not sure about publishing it, but they
Yeah.
will make them available.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, and when we come back to deliberate, then maybe that's when the resumes can be released. But that will be up to you to look into that for us.
We can release one to Caroline right
You
here.
absolutely
That's,
can.
yes, I mean, that's, releasing is different than publishing.
Yes.
I'd like to.
And we let all candidates know that until the time that they have received an invitation to interview and they accept that interview, then their information can become public, such as who they are and a resume of their experience.
Okay, so I guess we're past the point of keeping things confidential.
Could I
Okay.
make another point, please? It was expressed that one trustee doesn't necessarily want the candidates to come back. I think that should be a board decision. So we should, and I don't mind doing it soon after your recommendation, but not to hold the process up.
Again, just because, I also said, whatever this board wants to do in that regard.
Right, I get it.
Yeah.
I just think we should discuss whether we should or not.
Well, we're at public comment, so Caroline, are you finished with your public
Yes,
comment?
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone online that would like to speak?
Is anyone out there that wants to speak at public comment, please raise your Zoom hand. There are no hands raised.
Okay,
I have a question for Aurora.
sure, go ahead.
Aurora, testing for understanding, you gave a paper copy of Nathaniel's resume to Caroline. Did you expect to get that back, or is that for her to keep?
No, that is for her to keep if she would like to.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn at 6:05?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, you supported? All right, thank you. Thank you, Patsy and Aurora.
Aurora, are you going to want these copies again?
Yeah, I'll gather them all.
Did she give us her stuff back, or you have her stuff, right?